Hi everyone, this is Nora speaking. Private supplementary tutoring or shadow education has become a global phenomenon, and China is among the countries where it is the most prevalent. By 2019, China's private tutoring industry has grown into a prominent sector, providing educational services to millions of students and parents. As the pressure of getting a good score in entrance exams is rising, shadow education has become more popular. These examinations isn't limited to Gaokao only, but also exams to law school, medical school, or even getting a certification as an accountant. These examinations are all usually held annually. If the students don't do well, all the preparation they went through is corrupted. The difficulty of these exams is increasing due to the large population of school students. Sometimes schools' teaching cannot meet the difficulty. Thus comes the tutoring companies helping students after school with their studies. If you study more than others, you have greater chances. And shadow education isn't only for domestic examinations. All of the Chinese international students sitting here know how expensive it is that we pay agencies to get better with TOEFL, SAT, and IELTS exams. Getting SAT classes at one of the most prominent educational companies, New Oriental Education, for a term is up to $5,000. And their curriculum involves classes from primary school to even teacher certificate exams. The adaptation ability of these companies is very strong. It is said that the New Oriental Education would be opening classes in Western countries to teach kids living abroad Mandarin. They also have different titles for the classes to avoid sounding like after-school programs, like Camp to Develop Logical Thoughts, where it is actually a program to teach about Python. And these programs are not only for math, English, or physics, or chemistry. They can also be for dance, music, or even sports. From this, we could see there's lots of economic benefits through shadow education industries. Teachers can work in private studios or for big companies like New Oriental, but either way, they charge a huge amount of money. Though teachers in studios have to worry more about the rent, and teachers in big companies only get parts of their fees. So this fosters richer companies instead of richer teachers. Asian countries like Korea and Japan also have a shadow education industry, but they're more domestically developed. By 2019, there were more than 20 listed Chinese tutoring companies on the stock market in mainland China, Hong Kong, and the US. And this is a New Oriental Education's performance on US stock market. This huge economic status of these companies shows how popular it is to have kids join after-school programs in China. Since it is very expensive to have these classes, the shadow education has also brought anxiety and stress to students and parents, as they're thinking of competing with other students by having more classes. This induces the vicious cycle of getting more and more classes and costing more money, and the cycle wears parents and students down. And there's lots of mental illnesses among students because caused by this. The culture of involution, or 内卷, as in Chinese characters, has come into public's vision. People seem to have found a name for everyone trying to get ahead of others, and shadow education is one example. Term involution went viral with an article called "What Does Involution Mean?" It means internal competition, and it is searched the most on October 2020 for up to 18,000 index searches. And this is an advertisement for tutoring companies. It says, if you come to us, we educate your kids. If you don't come to our classes, we educate your kids' competitors. The Chinese government, in consideration of stopping the unhealthy evolution of the education industry, has banned a few tutoring companies. CEO of a K-12 tutoring group, Yuan Ying, says if the market supply and demand cannot be changed, parents' suppressed demand will have to find other channels sooner or later.
Firstly, I'm going to introduce the Chinese education system to you. Education is officially compulsory for 9 years in China, comprising 6 years of primary education and 3 years of lower secondary education. After the compulsory education, there are two major examinations. There are senior high school entrance examinations, which are also named 中考, and the national college entrance examinations, which are also called 高考. The 中考 takes place citywide after grade 9, set by the local education authorities. Lower secondary school graduates are selected by different types of schools based on the 中考 scores. Most graduates of specialized schools enter the labor market after graduation, but students in regular upper secondary schools are eligible to sit the 高考 for after grade 12. The 高考 is an extremely high-stakes examination set by the national authorities to select qualified high school graduates for higher education. It exerts much stress on students. Secondly, I'm going to introduce the general education environment in China. China is a country that attaches great importance to education. Due to the huge population, the senior high school entrance examination and the college entrance examination are the main cetera and methods for the country to select the talents. Achieving excellent test scores and entering a top university are the only opportunities for people to find ideal jobs and achieve class leaps. Under such a social background, in order to achieve superior results in two major exams, a large number of students sign up for after school classes to improve their grades every year. Thirdly, I'm going to talk about students' attitudes towards shadow education. On the right side, you can see the picture that indicates the higher grade the students are, the longer time they have to devote to study. Children in China are supposed to show their parents respect and obedience in the family, and to be docile at school guided by Confucianism. This suggests that students' demand for shadow education can be readily influenced by their parents and teachers. In addition, in an environment where most students take supplementary tuition after class, some students may blindly follow the trend and do not realize their weakness in their studies. Fourthly, I'm going to present parents' attitudes towards shadow education. The picture on the right side explains the relationship between parents and shadow education. Due to the high pressure of competition within the Chinese middle and high school environment, anxious Chinese parents pay the private tutor for their kids because they don't want their children to fall behind in school classwork. The classwork, at the same time, becomes harder over time due to the increase of the average student learning level, which creates a loop that encourages more students to take the after-school program. Fifthly, I'm going to present teachers' attitudes towards shadow education. Some teachers work outside the school for the private tutor and get extra income other than salaries. Therefore, they promote their students to participate in those after-school programs. Finally, I'm going to introduce the double reduction policy and its effect to you. It displays the importance of the after-school programs in China by listing the effects of the crackdown on the education industry. China's new release of the double reduction policy calls for reducing students' amount of homework and for effectively banning after-school training classes. However, this makes Chinese parents more anxious and forces them to spend more money on extracurricular tutoring. Nearly 10 million people in the education industry have lost their jobs. The share price and the market value of some listed companies, such as a New Oriental, in the education industry have shrunk.
Hello everyone, my name is Joe. So today I'm gonna talk about pros and cons for this tradition, shadowing education. Shadowing education is becoming a new tradition because it may hold several advantages. The first advantage is that prior tutoring/shadowing education can help students progress academically according to U.S. Department of Education. And the second advantage is that shadowing education can meet different students' needs and offer students personalized classes according to Shell's 2020 article. So, for example, it's like when a student is fall behind on certain knowledge points, shadowing education can make up for that. And the third advantage for shadowing education is that it can save parents time by letting children attend extracurricular programs instead of parents teach their child at home inefficiently with their unprofessional knowledge, according to Isabel Wang's article. And here's a meme I put out for just for fun. So when the only question you know of the test is your name, so maybe you need to go to shadowing education. And this slide is going to talk about cons for this tradition. So shadowing education may also include several disadvantages. So first, it may increase education pressure. It's like if every student is attending shadowing education and they are learning knowledge beyond the book, so which means the school have to raise the test standards to rank the students properly. And the second disadvantage is that it can cause financial burden for poor families, according to 2018's article. And the third is that it may waste students' time. It's like if students they are using their time outside the classes to attend shadowing education, so which means they will have no free time for them to develop their interest or have fun with their friends. And the fourth disadvantage is that it can create unequal educational opportunities. So some poor families, they may not gonna enjoy quality shadowing education. So which means they may gonna fall behind other students. To compare with other students, they can enjoy the good quality shadowing education, according to Yushell's article.
After my groupmate's detailed presentation of this current situation for the Chinese shadowing and education industry, we can clearly see that its disadvantages outweigh its benefit it brings to the student and families. The shadowing education was supposed to be a channel to personal interest outside of the academic subjects such as visual and performance, an aid for students who have a hard time catching up with the regular in-school class progress, a chance socializing with people outside of their daily routine and from different areas, or a boost for students who want to pursue their professional knowledge in one specific field of study. However, it has become a tradition that everyone is used to and blindly follow without objectively thinking through. Nonetheless, a burden that creates anxiety and financially challenge for students and families. Therefore, this unhealthy industry and studying environment should be paused. But considering the large student population in China and high expectations from parents, after-school programs are still highly demanded. Thus, it cannot be eliminated completely simply of its downside, and surely wouldn't go away with just one snap. However, the opportunity for them to be tweaked and modified is still open, so they can serve the student and parents in a more effective and helpful way, as it was intended to be. Moreover, the test grade-centered ideology among the parents and educators needs some tweaks as well. Rather than putting their children to learn some knowledge that they won't be using after their school year for hours and hours a day, they could use this time to create a better relationship with their kids or expand their sight and interest in other forms of learning. As we speak, the Chinese government has put a pause in the after-school shadowing programs. Many programs and organizations related to test-serving academic subjects have been shut down recently. Even though the demand will still create supplies to this industry as many educators keep holding after-school programs, but in a more private scale or other method to get away with this restriction, we can still wish a brighter future for the students, that they won't be studying with all these physical and mental pressure from the shadowing program. And hopefully, the shadowing program will not be an outdated tradition, but a real aid for students in need. And that's all from us to you. Thank you so much for listening.